It is a bright, chilly day with the mercury sitting near 38 degrees. The climate is ideal for the events soon to unfold. The sky is spotless and the breeze bites. A typical DC winter afternoon, where reality seems heightened and distinct. There is no fog or overcast, only absolute visibility. However, the atmosphere feels weighted now, more oppressive than normal, pulsing with an underlying strain. Donald Trump occupies the lectern while the golden seal shines brightly under the cold sun. He wears a navy suit, likely a custom Brioni fit. His neckwear is crimson, a shade of authority asserting total command. The lapel pin of the flag sits a bit askew. He ignores such trifles, occupied instead with victory. His usual self-assured grin appears altered this time, however. It is more than just assured. It is hungry, resembling a predator sensing vulnerability nearby. The West Wing looms in the background, pale pillars and traditional design representing national strength. Lenses capture every angle, numbering in the dozens, exceeding the standard count. All the significant broadcasters are present. CNN has deployed 3 complete teams, including hosts, organizers, and engineers. Fox News dispatched 5 units. They anticipated a major event. MSNBC forwarded their whole presidential correspondence group. International outlets like Al Jazeera, the BBC, and major wire services are also in attendance. This event garners global attention. It is a developing story. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is positioned laterally to the left, roughly 5 yards from the speaker's stand. She is near enough for the cameras, near enough to listen, and near enough for embarrassment. She represents the Minnesota Democrats, specifically the 5th District of Minneapolis. As a squad associate, she is a liberal symbol. She attempts to appear self-assured and tough, but she does not succeed. Her fingers are gripped together anteriorly with excessive force, turning her joints pale. She realizes the media is not merely covering the embezzlement. They want the violence, the gunfire, and the disorder within her town. Trump approaches the audio equipment and lowers it a fraction. Since he stands tall, the device is usually positioned incorrectly. He performs his recognizable halt, a theatrical delay. He stares straight into the lenses before gradually turning his frame toward Omar. The quiet is overwhelming. Trump begins speaking with a tone that is quiet and menacing. He states they must address the situation in her region before discussing the statistics and the theft, which is enormous and beyond current understanding. They need to discuss the catastrophe and complete lawlessness in Minneapolis. He directs his digit toward the assembled journalists. You observed the reports. You witnessed ABC and their weekly program lamenting over Minneapolis and weeping for a guy called Alex Prey. They label it another calamity while faulting my operatives and ICE, branding them as extremists. Trump moves his head in revulsion. Representative Omar described the event as a killing. She instructed her supporters to rebel. She referred to an armed individual as a gentle spirit, assisting a female in the winter weather. Omar advances without thinking. She cannot restrain herself. She insists he was a medical worker. He cared for former soldiers. She claims he was fired upon from behind a dozen times while gripping a mobile device. Trump interrupts her with a thunderous tone. Incorrect. He possessed a weapon. It was a 9mm pistol. He carried 2 clips. My officers were encircled by a crowd in freezing conditions, with thousands shouting and hurling frozen chunks. My personnel protected their lives. They are champions and loyalists. And regarding your state leader, Tim Walz, absolute ineptitude. He faults me and the national administration, claiming we are invaders. He refused to provide protection for my Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Is that even credible? An official visits to examine theft, and the governor abandons him without safety. It is shameful. Trump bends across the stand, gazing intensely at Omar. You desire federal withdrawal from Minnesota, to rule it like a petty tyrant's domain. However, I am dispatching additional officers, not fewer. If Walz fails to bring peace, I shall do it. Let me explain a fact regarding deference. Even the leftist understands this. Mayor Mamdani Zoran in NYC is a true leftist who preaches about collective warmth and other insane concepts. But guess what? He visited my workspace. We took seats and conversed. He sends me messages. Is that not shocking? The leftist leader of New York messages Donald Trump to rescue his metropolis. He realizes he must negotiate with me. He honors the position. Trump grins with a malicious, theatrical expression. Zoran negotiates agreements. You incite uprisings. I see Canada attempting secret commerce with China. I threatened full levies and stopped it instantly. Europe is whining about Afghanistan, claiming to be shocked. I spoke the reality that they retreated while we battled. Yet I receive honor from them. As for you, you provide disorder, torched structures, deceased officers, and falsehoods regarding calm demonstrations while your voters wield handguns. He stops, allowing the gravity of the charge to land. I understand your motivation. I comprehend why you yell regarding the gunfire and the presence of troops. It serves as a diversion. You prefer discussing the brutality because you wish to avoid discussing the finances. You refuse to discuss your actual actions. Trump reaches beneath the stand and retrieves a binder. It is dense, extremely substantial. It contains 3 inches of documents, or perhaps more. It is arranged with pigmented markers extending from the edge: blue, red, yellow, green, purple, and orange. There are 6 markers. There are 6 divisions. There represent 6 controversies. Every single one is marked by hue. The uprisings cannot rescue you now, Congresswoman. Your insincere weeping over Alex Prey is useless. Mayor Mamdani is not present to assist you. It is merely you, myself, and the statistics. He unseals the binder, and the noise of shifting pages resonates in the garden. We have gathered to declare Operation Clean Plate. It is a significant national inquiry. It is a huge probe. It involves multiple bureaus like the FBI, IRS, Treasury, and Justice Department cooperating fully. It is the largest inquiry in national records regarding assistance scams, youth food theft, virus relief cheating, and outbreak exploitation. It is occurring currently in Minnesota. It has transpired for years without detection. The sum is $1 billion. That is $1 billion starting with a B. It might be greater. No one understands the complete scope yet. My detectives suggest it might be double that amount. Time will tell. It was pilfered. It was taken from national youth, from starving miners requiring sustenance, from the public purse, and from diligent citizens. It was taken from you. It was taken from your kin. It was taken from every resident who contributes their dues lawfully. He stops speaking. He allows the figure to register. He lets it resonate. $1 billion is a vast sum. That equals 1,000 millions. The lenses focus tightly on his visage. He appears grave now. He looks executive. It is the expression of the Supreme Commander. This is not the campaigner version. This is the statesman. I have summoned Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to join us, and he motions toward her with his left arm. She attempts a strained grin that looks coerced and uneasy. The equipment instantly swings to her and magnifies the image. High-resolution lenses record every tiny facial movement. She serves the 5th District of Minnesota, including Minneapolis and nearby zones, which is the epicenter of this theft. Felons established bogus nutrition centers there. Scammers formed hollow corporations there. Individuals pretended to nourish non-existent minors there. Hundreds of millions in currency vanished there. Minors starved while felons purchased estates, expensive autos, BMWs, Mercedes, gems, and visited Dubai using public funds. Trump's tone becomes somewhat firmer. She also championed the law that allowed this deception. She made it feasible. She made it simple. It was the Meals Act of 2020. It was her proposal. Her signature is upon it. She was the primary backer. Her law diminished supervision on national youth food initiatives, simplified reimbursement claims, lessened inspections, and eliminated protections. It was her statute. Omar's grin vanishes entirely, wavering for a moment, yet the lenses record it. It is seen on every device from every perspective. Her attorney, positioned to her rear and off-screen while attempting to remain unseen, stiffens. His upper back tightens. This was not the strategy. This differs from what they negotiated with the administration's chief of staff 3 days prior. This was intended to be a routine declaration involving a remark from Trump regarding the probe, a remark from Omar concerning legal rights and avoiding group blame, followed by media inquiries on both. It was standard process. It was typical etiquette. This is not typical. This is not routine. This is a completely different event. Therefore, I reasoned, Trump proceeds with a relaxed and chatty tone that prior to the formal declaration, prior to hearing the representative's scripted defense of her people, and prior to the usual exchange, I ought to pose some inquiries. They are executive inquiries. They are significant inquiries. They are inquiries demanding responses. These are inquiries the public merits responses to. These are inquiries disregarded for too long. These are inquiries the press avoids because they are occupied with shielding her. He gazes straight at the reporters during that final sentence. He looks right at the lead CNN reporter. She moves in her chair, feeling ill at ease. He is exposing them, highlighting their prejudice, their defense of Omar, and their unwillingness to pose tough queries. He is performing this on direct broadcast before a massive audience. Omar's grin has vanished entirely. Her expression is blank. She attempts to hide her feelings. She attempts to hide her dread. She does not succeed. Her grip tightens, making her pale joints observable. Her attorney in the background signals slightly with a head movement to decline engagement, yet there is no recourse. She is present. She stands in the garden. She is being filmed. It is past the point of departure. Congresswoman Omar, Trump speaks with a genial, nearly cordial tone. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate your arrival. You were not required to attend. You might have remained at your legislative bureau, released a text document, dispatched an assistant, or refused the request. However, you arrived. You appeared. That shows courage. It is extremely courageous. I admire that sincerely. Therefore, let us converse. Let us engage in genuine dialogue. No scripted lines, no rehearsed remarks, honest discussion. Concerning your Meals Act, concerning the deception it allowed, concerning the $1 billion that vanished, concerning your staffer who is currently a sentenced felon residing in a national jail, concerning your unexplained wealth that materialized from nothing, concerning numerous items. There are many items. There are significant items. Everything is recorded, verified, and prepared for the public to audit. Trump strikes the binder to stress the point, preventing confusion, misinterpretation, or future allegations of impropriety. I am the leader of this nation. I am the Supreme Commander. You are visiting my residence, or rather the citizens' residence. It is the White House. It is the most potent structure globally, the hub of national strength. Therefore, I will pose inquiries. They will be significant inquiries. You will respond to them, candidly, fully, accurately, under the public's observation. Subsequently, when we conclude and you have addressed everything, you may deliver your remarks. You may advocate for yourself. You may clarify. You will receive your opportunity. It will be a complete opportunity. It will be a just opportunity. Does that seem equitable? Certainly it does. Certainly it is equitable. It is highly equitable. I am a very just individual. Do people claim Trump is unjust? Incorrect. I am exceptionally just. Inquiry with my acquaintances. Let us commence. Omar parts her lips, attempts to talk, and tries to set some regulations or boundaries. Trump raises his palm in a cordial, nearly tender manner with a faint grin, yet the gesture is resolute. It represents total executive command. No, not at this moment, Congresswoman, not at this time. I pose the inquiries initially. That is the procedure. That is the etiquette. It is executive etiquette. The leader inquires first, you respond, and we proceed. It is uncomplicated. It is just. It is democratic. It is the national custom. Here is the initial query. I desire you to attend closely because this is vital. This serves as the basis for our entire discussion today. Were you aware, when you backed and enacted the Meals Act of 2020, that it would allow the biggest virus-related theft, the biggest youth food theft, and the biggest assistance theft in national records? Were you aware? Affirmative or negative? It is a basic query. Simply reply yes or no. The garden explodes with noise. It is not inquiries, merely astonishment. There are sharp intakes of breath. There are quiet exclamations. This has never occurred. The leader is questioning a current legislator on direct broadcast in the garden during a seemingly routine media event. The CNN reporter actually vocalizes her disbelief. Her audio device captures it, broadcasting it instantly. The Fox crew can hardly restrain their thrill. They smile and gesture, having anticipated this instant. The MSNBC staff appears completely devastated. Their liberal favorite and squad symbol is being openly questioned by Trump on film. There is no cover. This is not a media briefing. It is a surprise attack. It is a snare. It is a public destruction, and the globe is viewing it. However, they cannot interfere. They cannot halt it. They are helpless. He is the national leader. It is his residence. It is his briefing. It is his authority. He poses valid inquiries regarding proven theft, inquiries that required asking years prior, and inquiries the press declined to pose. Omar's jaw tightens. The sinews are apparent. Stress emits from her. She grinds her molars, attempting to manage her rage, her dread, and her alarm as they struggle for supremacy. Mr. President, her tone is strained but disciplined, maintained by years of professional practice. The theft was perpetrated by felons and malicious individuals. These people abused a system meant with benevolent aims to assist starving minors during the outbreak. Cease. Trump's tone is resolute. It is not enraged or noisy. It is merely resolute. It is conclusive. It is the tone of a lifelong leader. It belongs to one who has dismissed thousands. It belongs to one who managed billion-dollar enterprises. It belongs to one who understands leadership. Halt immediately. That is not a binary response. That is no response whatsoever. It is a diversion. It is a scripted line. It is what your team rehearsed for you. I did not inquire about felons. I did not inquire about benevolence. I did not inquire about the outbreak. I posed a basic query. Affirmative or negative? Allow me to reattempt. I will speak more deliberately now. I will make it distinct. Your statute, whatever its number was, your law, the Meals Act of 2020. It is the proposal listing you as the lead backer. Were you aware when you drafted it, when you backed it, and when you approved it, that it would be utilized by felons to rob $1 billion from national youth? Did you anticipate that result? Affirmative or negative? There are two choices. Select one. Omar attempts once more with a new tactic. I cannot bear individual liability for how felons decide to abuse the system. That indicates a negative. Trump interrupts with certainty. You imply no. You were unaware. You were unaware your law was poorly drafted. You were unaware it lacked protections. You were unaware it eliminated supervision. You were unaware felons would exploit it. You were ignorant. Fine. Excellent. I appreciate it. We are advancing now. It is genuine advancement. We possess your reply officially. You were ignorant. That implies ineptitude, suggesting you drafted a law so flawed, so ill-conceived, and so devoid of fundamental protections that it allowed a billion-dollar theft. Or it is a falsehood. This implies you were aware. You realized precisely what would ensue and permitted it regardless because it aided your people, your voters, or perhaps yourself. We shall determine the reality. We possess detectives. There are many. The FBI is excellent at their work. The IRS has likely the finest auditors globally. The Treasury's crime unit is involved. They are examining this meticulously and completely. They will uncover the facts. Believe me, they invariably do. Trump opens the binder. He selects the blue marker. The fraud division. There are many sheets. There are files, summaries, graphs, and proof. Everything is sorted, prepared, and damaging. Here is the subsequent query. He recites from a paper. Your staff member, your backer, your companion, an individual named Gwad Hashi Say S. Aid. He assisted your bids, several bids. He joined you at functions, numerous functions. These included charity dinners, local gatherings, and political demonstrations. You snapped pictures together, many pictures. You grinned together. You appeared quite cordial and intimate. Do you recall him? Do you recall Gwad? Omar signals affirmatively with a slight, nearly invisible motion. Yet the lenses record it. Excellent. It is positive that you recall. That is fine. Because Gwad was found guilty. He was condemned in a national tribunal. He admitted fault. He is guilty. He acknowledged it. He confessed to the whole thing. It involved $3.2 million in theft. He stole $3.2 million via a bogus nutrition center lying about nourishing minors, forging data, and asserting he fed 5,000 kids daily. That is 5,000 each day. However, the minors were imaginary. The location was imaginary. The meals were imaginary. Nothing was real but the funds. It was government currency. It was public revenue. It was your wealth, America. He took it. He kept it. He wasted it on his person, on expensive items, and on his habits. Do you know his current location? Where is Gwad? At this exact instant? He is in a national penitentiary. That is his proper place. That is where felons reside. Trump raises his eyes from the paper and gazes straight at Omar. It is that gaze. It is the gaze that unsettled builders, broke rivals, and compelled staff to admit faults. It is that sharp Trump gaze. My inquiry, which is highly significant and likely the most critical one yet, is whether you knew he was robbing. Were you aware your staffer, backer, and companion was executing national theft? Were you aware he was robbing minors? Affirmative or negative? The lenses focus closely on Omar's visage. It is an intense proximity. Her pigment fades noticeably. One can witness it occurring live. She shifted from a vibrant tone to slate. It is like ash. It is the shade of dread. It is the shade of culpability. It is the shade of capture. Comprehension is arriving. Total awareness floods her expression. This concerns more than Minnesota theft. This concerns more than the Meals Act. This concerns her personally. It concerns her finances. It concerns her offenses. It concerns her graft. This involves everything. It covers every controversy, every falsehood, and every illicit dollar. Trump possesses it all. He has every item of proof. He has every record. He has every observer. He has every exchange. This will be severe. It will be very severe. It might end her vocation. It might lead to incarceration. Mr. President, her tone trembles now as discipline fails and terror emerges. I believe we ought to adhere to correct protocol and permit the police to act. You believe we ought to discuss this matter? Trump interjects with near joy, relishing the scene. He is an entertainer and always has been. He adores significant events. He thrives on them. I concur completely. It is absolute. That is the precise reason for our presence. That is why I emptied my morning calendar. That is why I summoned you. That is why I arranged this briefing. That is why millions of citizens are viewing currently, likely tens of millions, perhaps 100 million globally. All desire to know. All merit knowing. It is peak audience numbers, likely the most watched briefing ever. We are creating history. Therefore, provide the response. Were you aware your staffer, the male in your pictures, at your functions, aiding your bids, was robbing millions from national youth? Affirmative or negative? There is quiet. It is absolute quiet. 5 seconds pass. Then 10, then 15, then 20. The sole noise in the garden is the shuttering of lenses, the gentle rhythmic snap of high-end equipment. There is the faint sound of journalists moving in their chairs. A person hacks, attempts to stifle it, but fails. That is the extent of it. That is everything. The media group is unsure where to gaze. It is agonizing. It is clumsy. It is savage. It resembles viewing a vehicle collision at reduced speed. Even the CNN staff appears uneasy. This represents their political friend being ruined, yet they cannot avert their eyes. Nobody can look away. 30 seconds pass. 40 pass. Omar has not responded. She is unable to respond. Either reply ruins her. Affirmative implies she was aware, that she remained passive, shielded a felon, and joined the theft. Negative implies she is inept, that she was ignorant her staffer was a crook, failed to screen her backers, and missed millions being pilfered directly before her. Both replies are horrific. Therefore, she remains mute. We shall return to that point. Trump states relaxed, as if this is standard. As if questioning legislators on direct broadcast is merely a typical day. Mark that point. We will review it. However, this is what I understand. I understand a great deal. I have been occupied. I have been intensely occupied. My staff has labored incessantly. They worked weekends. They worked nights. They worked holidays. I employ detectives, analysts, and auditors, forensic auditors who are the finest globally. I employ attorneys, constitutional experts, defense counsels, and national litigators. They are all cooperating. They function as a unit. We discovered some fascinating items. They are startling items. They are incredible details concerning you, Congresswoman. They concern your wealth. They concern your transition from insolvent to wealthy. They concern your spouse. They concern his transition from insolvent to wealthy. They concern your companions. They concern their funds. They concern your bids. They concern all aspects. We possess it all. Trump extends the binder completely on the stand. The sheets are viewable. There are scores of them. Perhaps hundreds exist. The audio device captures the crinkling and boosts it. Each flipped sheet resonates like a storm in the quiet. Therefore, this is our agenda for the day. This is the strategy. It is a basic strategy. It is a just strategy. We will examine this methodically. We will be cautious. We will be rigorous. We will be exhaustive. I shall introduce 6 significant controversies. There are 6 divisions. We will handle them singly. We will proceed incrementally. I possess 6 tinted markers here, and he strikes each one: blue, red, yellow, green, purple, and orange. There are 6 big controversies. There are 6 national offenses. Everything is recorded. Everything is substantiated. Everything is prepared for trial. Everything is prepared for public assessment. To the rear of the journalists, the MSNBC organizer is on a call, sounding frantic and alarmed. We must determine a way to report this. This is... He cannot conclude. There is no parallel. Nothing similar has ever occurred. Finally, Trump proceeds. Once we review all 6 controversies, once the nation views the proof, once all listen to the witness accounts, the data, and the reality, then the public may judge independently. You may choose, is Ilhan Omar a casualty? Is she a target of prejudice, as she forever asserts, as her attorneys will assert, as CNN will assert, and as MSNBC will assert? Or is she different? Is she a charlatan? Is she a felon? Is she a dishonest official? Is she a betrayer? Is she one who prioritizes Somalia above the states? Is she one who profits while her voters remain impoverished? Let us discover this jointly. Let us view the proof. Let us track the data. Let us observe where the reality guides us. Omar glances at her counsel. Terror fills her gaze. It is absolute terror. He moves his head wildly and hopelessly. This is a catastrophe. It is a total catastrophe. It is a judicial catastrophe. It is a strategic catastrophe. It is a vocation-destroying catastrophe. It might be a constitutional emergency. However, he is powerless. Everyone is powerless. She is situated in the garden with the national leader on direct broadcast, streaming globally. She cannot depart. She cannot decline to respond. She cannot assert executive immunity. She can do nothing but remain and endure it. She must face every inquiry. Responding or remaining silent are both horrific choices. She committed a disastrous error by attending. It was utterly disastrous. President Donald J. Trump realizes this. He understands it. He intends to exact a price. He will do so openly. He will do so completely. he will do so ruinously. Allow me to begin with the figures, Trump says, as his tone shifts. He is graver. He is less a performer and more an attorney. He has completed sworn statements previously. He has done hundreds. He understands case construction. I am a statistics person. I have been forever. It spans my life. It spans my vocation. I founded everything on figures. I built structures. I built firms. I made agreements. I tracked gains. I tracked deficits. I tracked ledgers. I tracked revenue reports. I tracked liquidity. I know figures. I comprehend figures. I value figures. Here is my knowledge regarding figures. They do not deceive. Humans deceive. Officials deceive, particularly officials who are expert deceivers. But figures? Figures reveal the reality. Always. It happens every instance. You cannot manipulate figures. You cannot distract using figures. Figures simply exist. The Meals Act. It was H.R. 66836. It was presented on April 23, 2020. It was during the virus. It was during the outbreak closures. Academies were shuttered. Minors were resident. Households were suffering. The main backer was Representative Ilhan Omar. Joint backers included Ayanna Pressley, Jamie Raskin, and some others. Yet your title led. It was your proposal. It was your project. It cleared the lower chamber in May. It cleared the upper chamber in June. It was enacted on July 15, 2020. The aim, per the text, was to offer adaptability to guarantee food availability during the COVID-19 outbreak. It was a virtuous aim. It was a lovely aim. It aided starving miners. Who could resist that? Who could fight nourishing miners during an outbreak? He stops, raises his eyes from the sheet, and looks right at Omar. It is that accusatory gaze. However, that did not occur. That is not its actual effect. Your law eroded supervision. It eroded it hugely. It simplified claiming national repayments for nourishing miners significantly. It deleted confirmation mandates. It lowered review rates. It stopped location inspections. It stopped history screenings. It essentially stated, if you assert you are nourishing miners, we believe you. We will dispatch funds. We will dispatch vast funds. We will dispatch government funds. We will dispatch public funds. No inquiries will occur. That is your law's effect. It was for the crisis. It was for rapid youth aid. It was for adaptability. But truly? Truly, it generated the largest theft chance in national records. Trump retrieves another sheet. It is a graph. It has crimson columns and figures. They are stunning figures. He displays it to the lenses, permits them to focus, and permits the nation to view. This is the subsequent event. Feeding Our Future. It was the primary charity in Minneapolis. It was in your zone. It involved your voters. They asserted they nourished hundreds of thousands of miners daily. They used academies. They used local hubs. They used mosques. They used nurseries. They claimed millions of dishes. Millions. The national administration, our administration, dispatched funds to them. It was substantial funds. It utilized the adaptability your law generated. It utilized the relaxed supervision your law allowed. He places the graph down, examines the figures personally, and moves his head in revulsion. It is $250 million. That is the proven amount currently. That is the amount judged in national court. It is $250 million. Yet litigators believe it is far greater. It is much, much greater. They suspect the complete theft might hit $1 billion. Perhaps it is more. Since the supervision was terrible, since the files were awful, and since your law made lying simple, we might never determine the total sum. Trump's tone elevates a bit. It is managed rage. It is executive offense. Do you wish to know their actual activities? Do you wish to know the reality? There was no sustenance. There were no miners. There were no dishes. There was nothing. There were vacant structures. There were bogus locations. There were phantom galleys. Certain spots were actually just vehicle areas. They were vacant grounds. One location was a shuttered diner. Another was a private residence. There were no youths. There was no sustenance. There was nothing. There were only assertions. There were only forms. There were only falsehoods. And there was currency. There was vast currency. It streamed from D.C. to Minneapolis, to ledgers, to felons. He extracts pictures. They are printed in hue. They are fine quality. He displays them singly. Here is Safari Restaurant. It is in Minneapolis. It is in your zone. It appears valid, correct? It is a real diner. It is a real enterprise. However, the partner, a man named Abdul Qadir Norsala, was recently found guilty. He was condemned in national court on March 24th. He was judged liable for plotting wire theft. He plotted program corruption. He plotted currency washing. He was in the Feeding Our Future plot. It involved $70 million. $70 million passed through this single diner. Trump places the diner image down and selects another image. This is inferior. It is much inferior. Here you are. You are at that diner. It was the warm season of 2020. It is recorded. We possess the complete clip. CNN refuses to broadcast it, but we shall. You are present at Safari. You are grinning. You are distributing sustenance. You are clad in a smock. You appear very civic. You appear very benevolent. You are commending the initiative. You are commending Feeding Our Future. You are discussing the magnificence of nourishing minors. He halts. He lets the visual register. He lets the nation imagine it. Omar is at a diner executing huge theft, commending the scheme used for robbery. The partner who was recently condemned had you in his diner, advancing his scheme and commending his efforts. Now he resides in a national jail for theft, for robbing minors, and you were present. You were grinning. You were advancing. You were commending. Trump's tone lowers. It is softer. It is riskier. Therefore, my query, Congresswoman Omar, which requires a straight reply now, is whether you knew, while at Safari Restaurant in 2020, while commending the initiative, while distributing sustenance and grinning for lenses, that the diner was in a huge theft plot? Were you aware? Affirmative or negative? Omar attempts to answer, her tone trembling now with obvious dread. Mr. President, I went to numerous local functions during the outbreak. I went to numerous locations offering aid. That is no response. That remains a diversion. I posed a very basic query. While at Safari, were you aware of the theft? Were you aware? Affirmative or negative? There are two choices. I had no knowledge of illegal acts then, therefore no. You were ignorant. You stood in a diner stealing $70 million and were ignorant. Fine. Thus, either you are deceiving, meaning you knew and are hiding it, or you are inept. You were so poor at supervision, so poor at research, and so poor at fundamental perception that you could not distinguish a huge theft ring from a real nonprofit. Both are terrible. They are very terrible. They are unfitness level terrible for a legislator. Trump turns to a new sheet. There are more files. There is more proof. The binder is dense with much remaining. However, hold on. It improves. It improves significantly. Safari was not the sole link. It was not even near. Allow me to discuss your staffer, your backer, your companion. He extracts an image. It is a big 8 by 10. It is in color. It is fine quality. It shows Omar and a Somali male, both grinning. They have broad grins. They are at some function. Is it a bid function? Is it a local function? They appear intimate. They appear cordial. They appear linked. Gwad Hashise. Do you recall him? We discussed him shortly before, but let us proceed further. Let us truly investigate this bond. He labored on your bid. It was bids. There were several bids, 2018, 2020, 22. He managed your field operations. He was your local contact. He arranged Somali-American contact. He arranged elector enrollment pushes. He arranged turnout initiatives. He was vital to your machine. He was very vital. He was perhaps necessary. Trump strikes the image. You pair were intimate, not merely in work. It was private. You were pals. This picture is from your bid triumph celebration in 2020. It was post-primary victory. You are rejoicing together. You are joyful. You are thriving. You are winning. He places the image down and retrieves judicial files. They are tribunal records. They have formal Justice Department titles. This is Gwad's activity while aiding your bid, while arranging your electors, while visiting your functions, while rejoicing your wins. He operated a bogus nutrition center named Advanced Youth Athletic Development. He asserted he nourished minors. He submitted requests to the national state via Feeding Our Future. He stated he supplied 5,000 dishes daily. It was 5,000 daily to Minneapolis youths. Trump glances upward with lifted brows. It is a skeptical look. 5,000 dishes daily. That is many dishes. That is a huge project. It needs a factory galley, workers, goods, and planning. It is a giant task. However, none existed. There was no sustenance. There was no galley. There were no workers. There was nothing. There were only assertions. There were only forms. There were only falsehoods. And there was currency. It was $3.2 million. It was $3.2 million that Gwad pilfered from the national state. He pilfered from minors. He did so while aiding your bid. There is quiet. It is weighty quiet. The media is captivated. Even the CNN staff appears stunned. This is incriminating. It is unbelievably incriminating. He was detained in September 2022. He faced counts of plotting wire theft, plotting program corruption, and washing funds. He admitted fault. He is guilty. He acknowledged all. He confessed to the entire plot. He currently resides in national jail serving time. That is his proper place. Trump shuts that file division. It makes a noisy bang on the stand. So allow me to inquire once more, Congresswoman. I truly require a reply now. It must be a genuine reply. Your staffer. The male managing your field acts. The male in your bid pictures. Were you aware he was pilfering $3.2 million? Were you aware? How were you ignorant? He labored for you. He visited your functions. He is in your pictures. How are you ignorant that your own staffer is a felon? Omar's counsel advances slightly, attempting to interrupt. Trump notices and gestures at him. Sir, you may counsel your patron once she responds. This concerns me and the representative. We are merely conversing. We are just speaking. Speech is not incorrect. The counsel retreats, powerless. Omar's fingers tremble now noticeably. I refunded those gifts when I discovered the accusations. Ah, excellent. I appreciate it. You refunded gifts. That is a beginning. That is significant. What amount did you refund? It was $7,400. $7,400? Fine. Allow me to calculate. You refunded $7,400. He pilfered $3.2 million. That equals 0.23%. You retained his backing, his labor, and his gifts for 99.77% of his theft period. That is a lengthy duration. That is much theft to overlook. The arithmetic hits forcefully. The figures are honest. One can observe it on the journalists' visages, the computation, the awareness, the duplicity. When did you refund it? When did you restore that $7,400? Afterward. It was post-accusation publicity. It was post-indictment. It was post-arrest. It was post-news coverage. It was after retention became shameful. Not previously, not during the theft, not during youth starvation. It was post-exposure. It was when options vanished. That is when you refunded it. You label that responsibility? Trump moves his head in dismay. It resembles a parent viewing a failing offspring. Allow me to illustrate the complete scene for the nation, for all viewers. Your law, the Meals Act, diluted supervision enough to allow a billion-dollar theft. You visited functions at diners executing huge theft. You commended the initiative utilized to rob minors. Your staff pilfered $3.2 million. You accepted his funds and backing for years. You only refunded it post-arrest. Now you wish me to accept your ignorance? Total ignorance. You are either the most unfortunate official ever, encircled by felons by chance, or you are deceiving. You were aware. You joined in. You gained. Perhaps you even earned. We shall discover. My detectives are examining that very meticulously. He tallies on his digits, singly, ensuring the nation observes, ensuring the lenses record every motion. 78 individuals are charged. Most are from your zone. Most are from your group. Most are Somali Americans. They are your citizens. They are your electors. They are your backers. You, the deputy meant to protect them, allowed it via poor laws. You cheered it at theft locations. You hired felons. You retained their funds until exposure. Trump shuts the blue division. It is conclusive. It is absolute. That is theft controversy number 1. It is the billion-dollar theft. It is your law. It is your zone. It is your backers. It is your felons. It is your duty. We are merely commencing. We are far from finished. The theft is merely the initial controversy. It is merely the starter. Now we address your finances. It is your strange wealth. It is your millions surfacing from nothing. This becomes truly fascinating. It becomes truly dubious. It becomes truly illegal. He turns to the red marker. There are more files. There is more proof. There are more offenses. In the media crowd, the MSNBC reporter rests her face in her palms. This is a slaughter. It is a total slaughter. The Fox News group is smiling, noting details, incredulous at their fortune. This will command news cycles for weeks. Omar glances at her counsel once more. It is more desperate now. He moves his head. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to flee. One must just survive. Following this, Trump speaks with that theatrical grin reappearing. Your $30 million. The funds that magically materialized in your ledger. Let us discuss that. The nation desires to know the source. Allow me to ask something very basic, Congresswoman. Trump's tone shifts again, less accusatory, more chatty, as if genuinely intrigued. Are you wealthy? It is a simple binary query. Are you wealthy? Omar pauses. It is a deadly pause. Every viewer notes it. The silence is excessive. It is far too lengthy. If the reply was negative, she would state it instantly, resolutely, and boldly. The delay signifies something else. It implies affirmative, or it implies complexity. Regardless, it implies difficulty. Since you have stated repeatedly on broadcasts, in discussions, and in texts that you are not wealthy, you have stated it often. It was many, many times. Reference: I am an employed mother with academic debt. I am not wealthy. That was February 2025 in a Business Insider discussion. Those were your precise terms. Do you recall stating that? He does not await a reply. He does not require one. Allow me to display something. Trump elevates two files, one in each palm, resembling balancing scales. This is your asset declaration form from 2023. It was submitted to the House Clerk. It is a formal record. It is under legal oath. You must be truthful on these. Lying is a federal offense. On this sheet, your assets are noted as under $250,000. There are school loans. There is card debt. There is little savings. There is a pension fund with perhaps $60,000. It is normal personal finance. It is middle class. It is struggling slightly. I comprehend it. The legislature does not pay remarkably well. It is $174,000 annually, which is decent pay, but not huge. Not for dual city living, not with kin, and not with loans. So under $250,000 in assets is logical. He lowers that file and raises the other higher, ensuring all view it. This is your asset declaration form from 2024. It is 1 year later. It is the same role. It is the same wage. It is the same representative, but abruptly, and this is truly stunning, perhaps the finest investment gains ever. Your assets sit between $6 million and $30 million. He stops speaking. He allows that figure to linger. He lets it breathe. He lets the nation absorb it. It is $6 to $30 million in a single year. It is on a legislative wage. That is not market growth. That is not property value. That is not wage savings. That is either deception or sorcery, and I reject sorcery. Behind the reporters, journalists are frantically searching, verifying forms, and validating figures. They are genuine. They are all genuine. They are public data. Anyone can research them. Fox News displays the stats. 6 to 30 million from under 250,000 in a year. So, Congresswoman, I shall inquire again. Are you wealthy? According to your own report, the sheet you signed under perjury threat, you possess up to $30 million. That renders you wealthy. You are extremely wealthy. You are among the richest legislators. So when you told Business Insider you are not wealthy, were you deceiving? Or were you deceiving on your report? One of them must be false. Both cannot be factual. Omar attempts to talk, her voice hardly audible. My spouse's firms are listed on the form, but that does not imply— Ah, correct. Your spouse. Tim Minette. We shall address him thoroughly soon. Believe me, we will reach him. However, first let us discuss these enterprises. These enchanted enterprises that shifted from valueless to millions in 12 months. Allow me to read the specifics. Trump retrieves a summary sheet. It has printed graphs. The figures are organized. Business number 1 is EST Crew. That is a vineyard in California. It is the Paso Robles region. It is a lovely region. It is fine wine land. Per your 2023 report, this vineyard was valued under $50,000. It was a tiny venture. It was a startup. It was not yet gaining. Regardless, vineyards require time. I comprehend commerce. But on your 2024 report, abruptly, it is valued at $1 to $5 million. He glances up. It is that Trump expression. His brows are lifted. He is doubtful. It is a 100-fold jump in worth. Is 100 times growth in 1 year likely for a vineyard? I have been in property my whole life. I understand asset valuation. I understand company appraisals. I am telling you, vineyards do not rise 100 times in value in 12 months. They do not. It does not occur. Not organically, not lawfully. Trump extracts more files. They are court records. They are legal sheets. And here is what renders it truly intriguing. It is truly dubious. Investors in this vineyard, real backers who invested actual cash, their life funds in some instances, are suing. They filed complaints. They claim they lost all. They claim the vineyard is collapsing. It cannot pay debts. It cannot turn a profit. It cannot fulfill vows. One backer stated, and I am citing the court record here, "We were cheated. We were promised gains that never arrived. We were promised triumphs that never occurred. Our funds are gone." He places the court files down and looks straight at Omar. So clarify this for me, assist my understanding. Investors claim the vineyard is valueless, claim they lost all, and claim it is failing. Yet on your report, it is worth millions. How does a collapsing vineyard that cheated backers become worth millions? Someone is deceiving. Either the backers are deceiving, and they are lying under oath in court, which is perjury, or you are deceiving on your report. Which is it? There is no reply. Omar gazes downward. She cannot meet his eyes. She cannot meet the lenses. The posture reveals everything. Enterprise number 2. Trump proceeds relentlessly. Rose Lake Capital. It is a venture firm. It is your spouse's firm. It belongs to him and his associates. Now this one is truly unique. This one is my preference, because the figures are so absurd, so impossible, and so plainly false. He raises court files. There are more records. There is more legal paperwork. In 2024, this firm was tied to a cannabis lawsuit. It was a weed company in South Dakota. The lawsuit demanded financial transparency. It required discovery under oath. And in those papers, court papers which are official and legal record, Rose Lake Capital reported possessing exactly $4,044 in its ledger. $42. That is not an error. That is not missing zeros. $4,244. That is less than a fine meal in Washington, D.C. Trump stops. He lets that sink in. $42. The ridiculousness of it. Yet on your legislative report filed the same year, for the same duration, this identical company, Rose Lake Capital, is listed as worth $5 million to $25 million. From $42 to $25 million. That is not corporate expansion. That is not market profit. That is not a trend shift. That is deception. It is distinct deception. It is glaring deception. It is verifiable deception. He lays out the files, the court record showing $42 and the legislative report showing $25 million, side by side. The difference is damning. So, Congresswoman Omar, clarify this. Help the nation comprehend. How does a firm with $42 in the bank attain a value of $25 million on your report? What transpired? Did someone insert $25 million? Where did it originate? Whose funds are they? Why is it absent from the ledger? Why does the court state $42, but you state $25 million? There is quiet. It is absolute quiet. Omar lacks a response. She lacks an explanation. She lacks a defense, because there isn't one. The figures speak independently. Here is my theory on the event. Trump rests on the stand, relaxed and chatty, as if clarifying something evident. I believe you accepted funds. It was vast funds. It came from somewhere. Perhaps it was theft funds from your zone. Perhaps it was foreign funds from Somalia. Perhaps it was terror funds, and we are probing all of that. And you concealed it. You concealed it in your spouse's firms. You made them appear valuable on paper. You claimed millions in assets. But the funds came from a dirty source. It was an illicit source. It was a criminal source. And now you are snared. Fox News displays a graphic. It shows the figures. It shows the comparison. It shows the timeline. It is destructive. It is irrefutable. MSNBC appears sick. Their liberal icon is being ruined with her own files. And here is the punchline. It is the final element. During all of this, while the vineyard was collapsing, while Rose Lake held $42, while backers were suing, while you claimed poverty with loans, your spouse's firms received hundreds of thousands from your bids. Your political bids paid his firms. We shall address that in the next part, but just to preview. $2.78 million. Your bids paid your spouse's firms $278 million. And then those firms magically became worth millions. Convenient. It is very convenient. It is suspiciously convenient. Trump shuts the red division. It is loud. It is conclusive. So that is controversy number 2. The unexplained millions. You went from insolvent to wealthy in 1 year. Your spouse's firms went from valueless to millions. Court files show empty ledgers. Your report shows vast assets. Backers sued for theft. You claimed triumph. Someone is deceiving, and my detectives will prove it is you. He strikes the binder. It is still dense. There are still many sheets remaining. That is 2 major controversies. It is billion-dollar theft. It is mysterious millions. We are only at the midpoint. We have 4 remaining. Your spouse payoff, your marriage fraud, your anti-Semitism, and your Somalia loyalty. Everything is recorded. Everything is substantiated. Everything is prepared for trial. Trump checks his timepiece. It is Cartier. It is gold. It is costly. We have proceeded for 40 minutes. Are you enduring well, Congresswoman? Do you require hydration? Do you require a rest? No? Excellent. Because we are accelerating now. The subsequent 4 will proceed faster. They will be much faster. Let us discuss how you paid your spouse millions before you wed him. While you were conducting an affair. While you were both wed to others. This is the entertaining portion. It is truly scandalous material. Tim Minett. He is your spouse. Allow me to discuss Tim Minett. He is a pleasant man. He is attractive. He speaks well. He is an advisor. I do not know him personally, never met him, but I know of him. I know much about him. My team has performed deep research. It involved very deep background screenings. It involved financial files. It involved travel logs. It involved everything. And our findings are very intriguing. They are very dubious. They are very incriminating. Trump opens the yellow marker. Campaign finance files accumulate. They are FEC submissions. It is a thick pile. It is the type showing every single dollar's destination, every payment, every seller, every exchange. Behind the reporters, Fox News displays a graphic. Omar bid payments to husband's firm. The figures are stunning even to those who thought they knew the tale. Tim Minett managed a consulting agency named E Street Group. It was him and his associate, a man named Will Haler. They performed political advising. It was the standard material: digital promotion, Facebook ads, Instagram, Twitter, donor emails, direct mailers, voter contact, and data handling. It was standard bid services. And in 2020, your bid hired them. Your retention bid paid them. It was a lot. It was a massive amount. It was more than any house bid should ever pay advisors. He recites slowly from an FEC report. It is a formal record. It is public data. It was $2.78 million, almost $3 million for one legislative bid, one house contest. In Minnesota, it was a secure Democratic zone. It was a seat you would win effortlessly. But you paid this firm, your future spouse's firm, $2.78 million. Allow me to contextualize that. The average house bid expends maybe $2 million total. Total on everything. It covers ads, staff, travel, everything. You expended nearly $3 million just on one consulting firm. One firm, run by the man you were conducting an affair with. Trump glances up. It is that knowing grin. It is the one indicating he is about to release a revelation. Now, here is the timeline. This is significant. Follow closely. In 2019, you and Tim begin collaborating. You are traveling together. It is frequent. Your calendars align perfectly. You share flights, you share airports, you share cities. You share hotels, Denver, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Seattle. You are all over the nation together. It is very intimate. It is very personal. There is much privacy. His spouse, Beth Minett, observes. Naturally, she observes. Spouses always observe. She becomes mistrustful. She retains attorneys. They are good attorneys. They are costly attorneys. And in her divorce submission, she states exactly what is occurring. There is no vagueness. There is no doubt. It is a direct charge. He elevates divorce files. They are formal court records. They are public data. Anyone can research them. Reference from Beth Minett's divorce request. Submitted September 2019. Reference: defendant's travel and work hours appear to be related to his ongoing relationship with Ilhan Omar. It is not a professional bond. It is not a working bond. It is an ongoing relationship. That is a fair terminology. That is marriage-ending terminology. That is his wife under oath in court, naming you specifically as the cause of her marriage's end. She blames you. She says you ruined her household. Trump places the divorce papers down. It makes a dramatic, loud bang on the stand. Now, affairs occur. People commit errors. Marriages dissolve. I comprehend it. I have been divorced. It occurs. I am not judging private lives. I am not the ethics squad. But here is where it becomes my concern. Here is where it becomes illegal. Here is where it becomes criminal. He extracts more FEC reports. They are more finance records. They have highlighted figures. Yellow ink marks the payments. While this supposed affair is transpiring, while you are traveling together, while you are lodging in identical hotels, while his wife is filing for divorce and naming you, your bid is paying his firm millions. It is $2.78 million. That is not merely consulting fees. That is not market price for services. That is something different. That is payment for silence, maybe. That is reward for loyalty. That is hush funds. That is bribery. That is something illicit. Trump flips through sheet after sheet of FEC reports. Observe these payments. March 2020, $96,000 to E Street Group. April 2020, $100,000. May, $147,000. June, $203,000. It is month after month after month. Payments for what? What services? What products? You won your primary effortlessly. You won your general effortlessly. It was a safe seat. There was no real rivalry. But you paid millions. He looks straight at Omar. It is that prosecutor's gaze. It is the one from depositions, from courtroom interrogations. So my query, and I truly need an honest reply here, did you pay him millions due to the affair? To keep him silent? To remain loyal during the scandal? Because $2.78 million is far too much cash for a house bid. It is far too much. It is a dubious sum. It is the kind of sum that makes federal detectives very, very intrigued. It is the kind of sum that gets people charged for finance violations. Omar attempts to answer, voice trembling. Mr. President, E Street Group offered valid bid services that were correctly reported. Cease. Do not give me standard text. Do not give me lawyer talk. I posed a basic query. Did you pay him millions because of the affair? Affirmative or negative? Silence. She cannot answer. Both answers are catastrophes. After the scandal erupts, after newspapers report it, after his wife's divorce submission becomes public, after everyone knows about the affair, abruptly, you sever ties with E Street Group. It was August 2020. You just stop paying them. It is a clean break. It is very convenient timing. It is good optics. It is smart politics. It makes it appear you are reacting to criticism. It makes it appear responsible. Trump's tone hardens. However, then, just a few months later, March 2021, you wed Tim Minette. You make it official. You wed the advisor who received millions from your bid. You wed the man whose wife accused you of ruining her marriage. You wed the affair partner. And abruptly his enterprises are worth millions on your financial report. The same enterprises that were broke a year prior. Very convenient. Very suspicious. Very criminal. He shuts that yellow division. It is loud. It is definitive. So that is controversy 3. To your future spouse's firm while conducting an affair, while his wife was divorcing him because of you. Then you wed him. Then his enterprises magically become worth millions. That is not romance. That is money washing. That is campaign finance theft. That is corruption. Ahmed Noor Saeed Elmi. Who is he? That is the query everyone has been posing for years. Years, and you have never truly answered. Never directly, never honestly. Today, you will answer. Trump extracts old marriage records. They are immigration papers. They are school files. You wed Elmi in 2009. It was a legal marriage. You filed paperwork. You made it official. You remained wed until 2017. It was 8 years. But here is the issue. There are multiple issues. Educational records from the UK show Elmi's father shares the name of your father. It is the exact same name. He raises the documents. Now, that could be chance. Somali names, common names perhaps. Except you, Ahmed Hirsi, the man you were with before, the man you are with now, and Ahmed Elmi all resided at the same address. It was the same house, together, in Columbia Heights, Minnesota. That is not normal. That is suspicious. Trump's tone hardens. And here is the decisive proof. Tax theft. Your tax returns, 2014 and 2015, you filed jointly with Hirsi, but you were legally wed to Elmi. You cannot file jointly with someone you are not wed to. That is tax theft. It is a federal offense. He strikes the tax papers. So here is what detectives think. You wed Elmi for immigration deception. You helped a relative, possibly your brother, gain citizenship. Then you committed tax theft by filing with Hirsi, 2 federal offenses. And when we asked you to take a DNA test to prove Elmi is not your brother, you refused, multiple times. If he is not your brother, why refuse? Clear your name, move on. But you will not, because you cannot, because it is true. April 26, 2024, Columbia University. You visited during the anti-Israel protests, while Jewish students were being harassed, while people chanted death to Jews, and you labeled Jewish students pro-genocide. Those students, American citizens, kids trying to get an education, you labeled them pro-genocide for backing Israel. Trump's tone is cold, angry. Since October 7th, 78% of American Jews feel less safe. That is what happens when legislators spread hatred. When you say, it's all about the Benjamins, about Jewish support for Israel, that is anti-Semitic. When you call Israel evil and compare them to the Taliban, that is anti-Semitic. When you vote against Iron Dome funding, a defensive system protecting civilians, that is anti-Semitic. He extracts photos of damaged synagogues, Jewish students attacked. This occurred in America. While you spread hate, while you labeled Jewish students genocidal, while you empowered anti-Semites. These are results of your rhetoric. And House Resolution 1207 to censure you, it failed because Democrats shielded you. But America sees the reality. Trump leans forward. Simple query. Does Israel have a right to exist? Affirmative or negative? Omar will not answer. She cannot answer. The silence says everything. Your silence tells America everything they need to know. January 24th, 2026. Speech to Somali Americans. In Somalia, you called Somalia your home, not America. Somalia said, we Somalis, not we Americans, like you represent Somalia in Congress, not Minnesota. Trump's tone is sharp, cutting. You oppose U.S. recognition of Somaliland. Why? Because Somalia dislikes it. You are representing Somalia's interests, not America's. You work with CARE, an organization with documented Hamas ties. FBI identified them as Hamas supporters, but you work with them. Why? He extracts Treasury papers. And now Treasury is probing whether theft money from Minnesota went to al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia, Al-Qaeda affiliate terrorists. Probing whether money meant for American children ended up funding terrorism. And you are right in the middle. Your bill, your district, your community, your campaign officials. Treasury probing terror funding. Trump's tone drops. It is deadly serious. If we find money went to terrorists, if we find you knew, if we find you facilitated it, that is not theft. That is terrorism. That is treason. That is execution-level crimes. And my FBI director, Kash Patel, is personally investigating. You should be very worried. Very, very worried. 3 hours after the Rose Garden briefing, every network is still covering it. CNN plays highlights on loop. Fox celebrates. MSNBC tries to spin but cannot. The proof is overwhelming. By sunset, Democratic leadership abandons her. Representative Omar must address these serious allegations. Translation: you are on your own. Within 24 hours, federal probes announced Justice Department for campaign finance, marriage fraud, and tax fraud. Treasury for terror financing. IRS for financial disclosure fraud. House Ethics Committee for multiple violations. But the real story happens in Minneapolis. Sarah Chen stands outside Lincoln Elementary School. Teacher, 22 years. Never enough funding. That $1 billion was supposed to feed kids like Marcus. She holds up a photo of a young boy, 8 years old. Instead, criminals stole it. Omar's bill let them. Omar's friends stole it. And President Trump exposed it. That is not racism. That is justice. Imam Abdullahi Hassan speaks from his Minneapolis mosque. Somali-American, legal immigrant, citizen. Omar hurts all of us. She claims to represent us while enriching herself, using our community as a shield. President Trump attacked criminals, not Somalis. There is a difference, and we are grateful someone finally held her accountable. 2 weeks later, Omar announces she will not seek re-election. No press conference, just a statement. After consideration, I have decided not to seek re-election. Proud of my service. Thank you, Minnesota. Translation: career over. Too many scandals. Too much proof. Too much truth. Federal probes continue. Her legacy: fraud, corruption, betrayal. Trump holds a follow-up briefing. Look, I do not take pleasure in this, but somebody had to expose the corruption, the theft, the lies. Media would not do it. Democrats would not do it. So I did. With proof. With facts. With truth. And now she is done. Career over. Justice served. That is what I do. Drain the swamp, one fraud at a time. This story matters. For years, Ilhan Omar hid behind identity politics, called critics racist, used her refugee status as a shield. And it worked. Media protected her. Democrats defended her. Until President Trump exposed everything in 73 minutes in the Rose Garden on live television. 6 scandals, all documented, all proven, all devastating. If this gave you satisfaction, if you are tired of corrupt politicians hiding behind identity, hit that like button. Share this. Let people know what happened. Let them see how Trump destroyed Omar with proof and truth. Comment what other squad members need this treatment. AOC, Tlaib, Presley. Subscribe for more accountability, more truth, more justice. The swamp is deep, but we are draining it, one corrupt politician at a time.